white noise is recalibrating my sound system, and I have an update on the voice front, which is good news. Is that I did go to see ear, nose and throat, and got a horrible camera stuck up my nose and down the back of my throat, and there's nothing visible that's like mechanically untoward. There's no sign of inflammation around the tonsils or like the larynx, the voice box. The vocal folds are meeting as, you know, as normal, as you'd expect during phonation. So all that means that is that there's no further like intervention on like any sort of surgical territory, nothing like that required. So it's now on to speech and language therapy to start some vocal rehabilitation and supporting, trying to work on the upper range again and tap into that space and try and access that again and strengthen. And so again, referral process, I don't know how long that will take or exactly what shape or form that process of rehabilitation will look like, but I'm just breathing a sigh of relief that there's nothing concerning popping up, which I was really starting to, with the time and with waiting for this consultation, I was really starting to get into like unhelpful projections about, oh, what if it's this and what if it's that, and just getting anxious, the unknown, when it relates to your health and well-being is always a bit kind of scary monsters. So things are in process, things are shifting. They're maybe not shifting at the rate that I would like them to, but that's a lesson in itself, and in some sort of way in relation to reflecting on a quality of space that has been opened up for like reflection, where I would usually be channeling creative expression through improvisation and through using my voice in a much more active way, which I haven't been doing because I've been trying to take vocal rest and preserve my energy, and also just not wanting to do anything that could potentially cause additional issues whilst there was not certainty on what was going on. That has kind of offered me like more of a listening quality space to really tune into like that internal voice, internal impulses, maybe connecting more deeply with that sort of inner child's voice, which quite often in our day-to-day gets overwhelmed or gets stifled by the other archetypes that are kind of ringing around in your head, like, you know, the teacher or the kind of the disciplinarian, or you know, the aspects of yourself that are like in parenting mode, that are trying to sort of say, right, come on, grow up and get a grip. And, you know, there's always many voices, energies, archetypes that are floating about within your conscious and subconscious that are like feeding into your overall plane of expression. And it's nice to give a little more room and acknowledgement to that inner child quality that is just often, yes, immature, but emotionally much more open and receptive, and, you know, wants to play, wants to be recognized, wants to be loved, and yeah, it's not like the last few weeks have definitely not been easy, definitely not. I wouldn't want to repeat those weeks. Like, I kind of feel like there were some pretty hard lessons and revelations coming through that, you know, I'm hoping I'm integrating at a rate that is like able to process the new awarenesses and start, you know, working with them straight away. Not to try and rush a learning process, but just to try and like catch a wave of momentum with regards to like personal development and healing. And at the same time as that's been going on, there's been a huge reassessment and reflection about my own energy levels and where I'm placing them, and how are they best placed, and are they serving me to extend in those directions, multiple directions, you know, all at the same time. Is that the best use of energy? So there's been a lot of reassessment and yeah, just being in a state of questioning, and yeah, definitely trying to seek answers, maybe sometimes to my detriment. You know, sometimes we don't have the answers yet, and learning to be comfortable with that is a process. That is definitely a process, and it's not an easy one, because quite often we're like regurgitating questions over and over again until we find the answer that we want, the one that suits us. That might not always be the best thing for you, but I'm sort of getting to that point with like filtering through things and like probing and digging a little deeper, and with this deeper space of listening that has opened up, despite there being definitely resistance there, you know, because maybe some of the answers that are coming back to me about how I really feel about things are, you know, unsettling in the sense that they might disrupt the status quo. If I shared them with someone else, it might cause upset or offense, or, you know, it might not be what someone else wants to hear. But I'm also in this space taking the opportunity to reclaim a bit of that fuck it energy, which is not, you know, I've definitely touched on this before, it's not like fuck it in a dismissive way or like an unconscious or uncaring way towards anyone else. If anything, it's the opposite. It's like owning your shit, getting really clear on how you feel about something, checking in to make sure that that is like for sure how you feel, or at least acknowledging and admitting that you might be in a process of transition about something, or that you're just not totally sure. But either way, like going with it, committing to it, letting yourself ride that wave, and wherever possible in spaces that you are sharing communication or intimacy or like any form of like relating to someone else, you know, giving yourself permission to express where you are in a way that's clear and can be understood by others, in the sense that they don't have to understand the why or the how as to what got you to that place of, you know, wherever your energy is sitting right now, wherever your lens is resting. Nobody has to know the backstory unless, you know, they've got time to listen and you want to share that and it's important to you and important to that relationship. But just to come as you are and be as you are and express that in a way that helps you to feel like, well, I've done everything I can within my communicative capabilities to be clear, to be articulate, to be transparent, to hopefully bring a kind of a perspective of holism to the picture, that it's not just like one angle or facet, but, you know, you're revealing different components to help someone understand on a deeper level. And that, again, that person might not understand the space that you're in, but that also, it doesn't have to matter. It matters to you if it's important enough for you to be understood on that level. But until you are comfortable and accepting of understanding yourself wherever you are, and by understanding I mean accepting, like you might feel a bit shit and you might have kind of narrowed it down to a topic or a subject area, but there's still a lack of clarity as to what the core issue or trigger is. So in that sense, you're not in a full state of understanding, but as long as you are in a process of like accepting that you're on a learning journey and that you're willing to dialogue with that part of yourself and support it and journey with it and be with it, and say, do you know what, I'm gonna ride this wave with you, whether that is like proverbially taking the inner child's hand and saying, come on, like, let's go. You know, that's some sort of understanding to me. That's like making friends with yourself at a deeper level. And if you can bring that energy to your interactions, if someone doesn't get it, or they don't want to get it, or they don't understand and they don't want to, that's on them. Like, you sleep easy, rest easy, knowing that you have brought yourself to the table in all your magnificence and your mess and whatever the hell is going on for you. Like, I think that is something worth celebrating where possible, and just, yeah,